I'm about to retire this year, and the past 5 to 7 years of my career were critical in that preparation step. And by the way, I didn't say early retirement. If you are interested in retirement before the stated government age, stick around. I will at least try and tell you what I did so that maybe it can help you in your preparation for your retirement glide path. But first, my name is Vincent. There are my cats back there, Pepper and Sweetie, doing whatever cats do. But it's fun to watch them do that. But I love doing videos about retirement, and I started this channel because I was going through this whole preparatory stage myself, and then I said, well, I'm doing this work anyways. I'd love to share it with the audience, who's you, and this is what I plan to do in my retirement as part of my retirement journey. So please like and subscribe. It really helps me. I love doing the videos, and I really want to share this information with you, which, by the way, changes all the time. So there were 5 key steps I took that led me to what I consider my retirement success. And following these steps make a big difference between ages 50 all the way up to 65. I would say that in the final 5 years of your career, and maybe 7 before that, if you've been preparing sooner, you should be able to see a dramatic increase in your retirement savings. And so the reason is why? Well, that really goes back to what I consider a step 0.5. And step 0.5 is you need to save early in your life so that your money can compound. So with the theory of compounding, essentially, if you look at how compounding works, it's kind of an exponential curve where the massive amount of growth happens towards like a kind of an optimal slope line of the curve. You have to get beyond that point for all of this to kind of make sense and to work, but you need time to do that. So part of what I did was a little bit about finances and a little bit not. The first step after 0.5 is really you got to pull your world together. And what do I mean by that? Well, pulling your world together means taking stock of everything you own, assets and debt, with an additional 1 step, which is to understand your expenses. You need to get all of that sorted out because retirement, you can live with any kind of money. This has been proven by many people out there on the internet. Some people retire with $500,000, some people retire with $500 million. But I can tell you that lifestyles and lifestyle creep is all relative to the amount of money you have. So the person who has $500,000 could be living well below their means and be able to leave principal to accumulate in their retirement accounts, whereas the person with $500 million could be living off of complete debt and constantly recycling the money so that the debt can be serviced. Either way, you need to take stock of where you are asset-wise. Step 2 is once you get information about your finances, right? You need help. And what do I mean by help? Well, there are 2 things that I think can help with this process. The first is you need a good software solution. Most of the time, for me, I did it myself. Just recently, I hired someone professionally, but in order to get a picture of where you are, there are great calculators out there that will help you with this process. And by the way, I'm not suggesting you just get one. I think you should get a few. And so here's what I did. My primary application to help me with all of this was Boldin. And I'm an affiliate, so there's a link in my description. You can click on that to get some discounts. But Boldin is just one facet. What I love about Boldin is all the thought that was given into it. The second step is you have to get other calculators and understand frameworks about withdrawals as well as debt reduction. And so there's some great programs out there that I've found on the internet that are free. One is called FICalc.app. That will help you with withdrawal strategies. And then there's other things, for example, if you want to look at your portfolio to understand how to optimize it, there's a great software solution called Stock Rover and another one called Portfolio Metrics. All of these things are somewhat free, but helpful nonetheless. And by the way, I would highly suggest you pay for subscriptions to these because the amount of money that you put into it, the amount of information you get back, especially about your finances, is absolutely gold. And by the way, these tools are meant to help you not make mistakes. So as I stated before, if you make one mistake, it could set you back a number of years. Finally, and this is new, This is something you will not find on the internet. Only a few people can probably do it. But I wrote an AI agent that does what I consider even a better job than what Boldin can do. It does all of the things like Monte Carlo simulations, worst case scenario analysis, RMD calculations, Monte Carlo. It does all of that, but it's in a manner where this agent, once you've trained it on your life, your world, step one, it's going to know everything about you. So if you're interested, contact me directly. I'd be happy to help you out with it. Finally, step three, you need cash flow. And you have to design a framework that can manage volatility and risk if you're in the stock market where all your money's in 401k. So for example, diversification means that you really should have monies in multiple sources. So nowadays, most people are saving in their 401ks. If you have a company match, obviously match up to the match. I would also suggest, and this is out for discussion, that you do up to the company match and everything else into a Roth, as well as an HSA. But that's what I've done, and it fared well for me because my Roth account now is all tax-free, and I can tap that much later on. I could pay even the taxes from my pre-tax accounts and then move any kind of excess monies to the Roth account for that particular year. So there's ways to optimize that. But you need cash flow. And so the best way to assemble that kind of framework is to have what's called a bucket strategy. And this is a very well-known framework. But essentially bucket 1 to 2 years of savings, primarily all cash or short-term government instruments, where you're not going to really be affected by the stock market. Because if you lived through 2008 or even just recently in 2025, you saw what was a bad sequence of returns. And that's what a bucket strategy does for you, is to protect you from those bad sequence of returns by just allowing you to tap into your cash. The portions that are really highly volatile, you have time for that to compound. And if you're following a proper asset allocation strategy, any excess monies that you have should always be moved to kind of a lower risk portfolio, like bonds, for example. And you keep rebalancing along the way. So you need cash flow to do that. The other thing also is, in terms of instruments, there are great products now that just actually came online the past few years. I didn't even know about that, but there's dividend-paying ETFs or mutual funds like SHD. There's one from Vanguard, VYIM, I believe. There's other things also that use covered call strategies. So covered calls is essentially you write the option against the shares that you own to generate income, and there are ETFs that do that. So one of them is JEPI. I think there's another one that I just recently found called QQQI, which is, I believe, on the NASDAQ. So dividends, covered calls on the NASDAQ. It's been highly successful, but again, in a market downturn, that could change. Either way, you need a bucket that's going to generate continually income. The other thing also is annuities. That can help you as well. But start thinking about how you're going to make your income. So with income, though, you are going to have expenses. That goes back to step 1. Gather all of those expenses and see where you are spending the most of the money. So step 4 is related to expenses. Step 4 is what I did, is that once I took stock of everything that I was spending, I just slowly looked at all the categories. And by the way, I used AI to do this and did a great job. I looked at everything that I was spending and I said, hey, what are the things that I don't need? Well, there's a lot of things. Obviously, there's subscriptions that you can get rid of. There's maybe dining out, which has gotten insanely expensive. You can curtail that. There's areas in your life that when you retire, you're probably not going to be doing those kinds of things. The only thing I can honestly see more of happening is probably eating out and traveling. But there are probably areas that you're not going to need, like commuting costs or clothing for your work, etc. So obviously get a handle on those expenses, figure out where you can pare down. But the essence is start ejecting the things you don't need in your life. Finally, step 5, figure out your lily pad. The lily pad to me is just a metaphor that I use in my brain. And I have a very unusual occupation. I was a career consultant, so I was going from project to project. I was very fortunate. I had a very good career in this space. I got very lucky, that's all I would say. But every time that I was moving from project to project, I always considered it like moving to a different lily pad. And that's essentially it. What I recognize in this entire process of retirement planning is that the finances are one aspect of planning, but then once you've got your finances, that really can't change much. As long as you set your thesis and strategy correctly, you just have to let it play out. Now it's time to play. So when you're thinking about your retirement, you know, the first 6 months, maybe even longer, could probably just be fun-filled activities, travel, doing things you've always wanted to do. And that's going to be just an incredible component of your first several years of retirement. But after that, you know, you're going to be, chances are, if you're, say, for example, my age, 56, I theoretically can live up to 86, or even more than that. My father is 89. And I don't see ages, you know, death coming down much more, especially with the way modern medicine is. So assume you're going to live 30 years. Well, what are you going to do with that time? You need to start figuring out something in your life that's going to give you fulfillment of joy and purpose. You know, as human beings, you know, we work, obviously, to live. But there's another aspect of it. When I see a lot of comments about people who are saying they're going to work to a certain age, and even my father, they work because that's their purpose. And that's okay. I think working is great because think about all the things you're doing. You're paying your taxes, you're presumably adding to society. Nothing more noble than doing that. But say, for example, you just don't have that opportunity or don't want to do that, you got to find something else. And so for me, my life is going to be filled with several constructive, kind of societal contributing type activities and things that I've always wanted to just do for myself. So my lily pad is something around community contribution through my church. If you saw my cats back there, I have a tremendous love for cats, so I'm trying to do something for the feline community. And that's just something I love to do. The other component, though, is your hobbies. There's a lot of people that love to do probably things that they weren't able to do. I met a gentleman the other day who's a dentist, and in the back of his Subaru, there's a whole bunch of radio-controlled airplanes. I thought that was great. I know a lot of people love to build, and RC airplanes and cars and boats require a lot of construction. So it's just a great hobby to do. Others like to do like golf. I do jiu-jitsu. You know, either way, your life should be, in my opinion, built on a framework of activities and social work, as well as if you can find another business that provides you enjoyment, may not pay as much as you were making, I say do that as well. So those 5 steps with the addition of 0.5 were the reasons how I was able to retire. And I would really strongly urge that you try and follow that along. In addition, there's another part here that I should have mentioned, and that is read several books about wealth generation and preservation of wealth, as well as how to think like a millionaire. So in my description, I've got a number of books. There's 2 additional books that I would highly recommend you think about. One is called The Psychology of Money, and the other one is called The Art of Spending by Morgan Housel. And books are so modern to their day that I highly recommend you take a look at them, because it's really going to open your eyes to what it really means to be wealthy. On top of which, it's a perspective of re-engineering what wealth is. Wealth has nothing, in Morgan's opinion as well as mine, has nothing to do with money. In fact, if you look at many people out there, they don't have as much money, but they live a far happier life than somebody who perhaps has a lot. So strongly encourage you to do that. That was probably a step 6, but you know, I hope that you are always educating yourself along the way, always saving, always be investing. And that's probably at the time when you can really think about retirement, just because chances are you may actually be really thinking hard about it. All that hard work has been done for you. And so for me, that is the most grateful thing that I am thankful for in my life, is at least I saved along the way and had support to do that, as well as, by the way, having a great family to help you support kind of propels you to a point where you can retire. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you subscribe to this video. Stay tuned for many more, because I'm going to continue to do this, and I'll see you in the next one.